Well, the first song is called Be Still. And this is a song that first dropped in when I was sitting on a mountain lake up in the desolation wilderness. And it's one I come back to often. I find that I have this I must fix everything part of my mind, which is probably running rampant right now with some of us. And it's really hard to still that mind, especially when there are really intense things going on in the world. And I find it almost like feeling like I'm on a wild horse. And at some point, I make this choice to just hand the reins over to the one who made the horse and surrender and sit still and be still. And sometimes there are still waves that come up in that stillness, but eventually they calm. And that beautiful experience of spirit is always there, sometimes saying, "What took you so long?"
Here in the stillness, I will find my peace as I behold the light in me. Spirit calls me, come aside and rest. And now I listen as I breathe. Be still, be still, be still, and know that I am God. Peace, be still, be still, and know that I am. Here in the stillness, I have found my peace. I see the sacred light in me. The Spirit holds me, warms away my fear. Now I'm rejoicing as I breathe. Be still, be still, be still, and know that I am God. Peace, be still, be still, and know that I am. In the raging storm, in the sleepless night, when the pain goes on with no end in sight, I am, I am, I am, I am here, I am now, I am deep inside, I am all around. Be still, be still, and know that I am. Here in the stillness, Spirit calls me. Here in the stillness, Spirit holds me. Be still. Be still. Be still.
Help me welcome Brenda Heldoorn to provide our special reading and invocation.
Thank you. Good morning. So this morning's reading comes from a book by Brene Brown. And much of modern life is specifically designed to seduce our attention away from Sabbath rest. When we are in the world with our eyes wide open, the seductions are insatiable. Hundreds of channels of cable and satellite television, phones with multiple lines and call waiting, begging us to talk more than to one person at a time, email and overnight mail, fax machines, billboards, magazines, newspapers, radio. For those of the children, there are endless soccer practices, baseball games, homework, laundry, house cleaning, errands. Every responsibility, every stimulus competes for our attention. Buy me, do me, watch me. Try me, drink me. It is as if we have inadvertently stumbled into some horrific wonderland. The point is not to return to some forced, legalistic Sabbath. We rightfully chafe against the dreary and humorless Sundays that obscured the more traditional healing prescriptions of companionship and laughter. A new Sabbath must invite conversation about the forgotten necessity of rest. Sabbath may be a holy day, an afternoon, an hour, a walk, anything that preserves the experience of life-giving repose and nourishment. During Sabbath, when we take our hand from the plow and let the earth care for things while we drink, if just briefly, from the fountain of rest and delight. I make a plea for renewed Sabbath keeping. As a nation, we cannot live like this, endlessly rushing about in a desperate frenzy, never stopping to enjoy the blessings of family and friends, unable to taste the fruits of life. We can change society by beginning a quiet revolution of change in ourselves and our families. Let us take a collective breath, rest, pray, meditate, walk, sing, eat, and take time to share the unhurried company of those we love. Let us, for just one day, cease our desperate striving for more, and instead taste the blessings we have already been given and give thanks. Religious traditions agree on this. God does not want us to be exhausted. God wants us to be happy. And so let us remember the Sabbath. So breathing in the wisdom of these words. I remember the truth that there is just one. Just one cause, one creator, one source, one life, one light, one intelligence. Not this and the other, just one. So, anchoring this truth in the center of my being, I recognize that there is nothing else for me to be but this one, an individual expression of the one, unique, just as each one of you are. Each being is a unique expression of this one. And we are called forth into this life to express the nature of the one into the world. So for today, we take this wisdom, this idea of Sabbath, this time precious to set aside to make holy, to be whole, to rest, to engage with family, friends, to laugh, to enjoy this life, to celebrate all the blessings we've been gifted with over and over and over, to set aside all the doingness, all the busyness, all the distractions. Let's set them aside for one day and accept this gift that's being given to us and offered freely with joy, with beauty, with creativity, with laughter and playfulness and warm companionship. Just breathe this in. And I gratefully accept this gift. As I accept it for myself, I know that this is true for each one of us. Engaging together in community at this very moment. We embrace the idea of Sabbath, of rest and renewal. I gratefully accept it and I release my word into the law of God, which acts on my intention and always returns to me fulfilled with this and something better. I allow it to be, and so it is. And now I would like to welcome Colleen back.
Thank you, Brenda, for those delicious words. Thinking about Sabbath rest. It's not so much that we drop into it, I think, as we come to that place of realizing we're so needing it, we're so weary and tired, and become like this little child, and we lift our hands up, as if a little child wants to be picked up, and we ask Spirit to pick us up, and Spirit in that Sabbath rest and comfort just reaches down and holds us, and we are here. And that's the name of this song, is Here. And I invite you to, as you hear the words, imagine in your mind what that's like, how that feels, what it looks like. An experience that reminds you of these words. The words are simple and they're going to repeat 3 times. And I invite you to let it be a little dessert bowl of Sabbath rest for your soul. Thank you.
For the highest good deepest love, for the truest knowing, like a child I come in the warming light, in the healing light, remembering why I am here, breathing in one presence, here, singing with my soul, here, being in one essence, here above, here below, here above, here below. For the highest good, for the deepest love, for the truest knowing, like a child I come in the warming light, in the healing light, remembering why I am here, breathing in one presence, here, singing with my soul, here, being in one essence, here above, here below, like a child here above, here below. For the highest good, for the deepest love, for the truest knowing, like a child I come in the warming light, in the healing light, remembering why I am here, breathing in one presence, here, singing with my soul, here, being in one essence, here above, here below, like here above, here below, here above, here below.
Being in the moment and knowing that spirit is in the midst of us. Spirit is who we are as a center, and it's about expressing that love and that wholeness and that joy. You know, there's some Saturdays when I'm preparing my talk when I really feel like Spirit is speaking to me, and this was one of them, because if there's anyone that has an issue with busyness, it might be me. Spirit says, do you hear what you're saying? Listen carefully, and then come rest in the silence. Come rest in the silence. Colleen has clearly spent some time in the silence, as you could hear from the words that she included in her songs this morning. Here breathing in the one presence. Here singing in my soul, in the warm light, in the healing life, remembering why I am. We are each an expression of the divine. Each one of us has that unique quality of the divine that we are here to share in our own unique way. And, each one of you, I love you dearly because each one of you is unique and wonderful. And sometimes we get so busy that we forget who we are, really. And so it's easy in our culture to think that the more we get done, the more fully we'll be alive. But, with this logic, we're going to find ourselves saying, like our topic this morning, in our next slide, which is hopefully there. And this is exciting. The slide is, there it is. Hurrah. So living everyday wonder, and I'll rest when I'm die. That's the topic for today. So, why do we hide from rest? We go to sleep at night, but why do we hide from rest? Why do we push it and burn the candle at both ends? And one thing that, I've always been able to do is I'm really good at creating long to-do lists that have more things on it than any human being could ever try and do. And this is the shortened version of my to-do list that I go through each week. And then I only pick the things I'm going to actually do this week, which is, so you can see that this is a good one for me. But but that cherished to-do list, it helps me stay organized. And I get lots of those, it keeps me productive. I get lots of those important things done. And I feel that I've done a good day's work, and I can go to sleep at night and rest and know that it's a good day. But, there's one thing, though, that's on that to-do list that too often gets deleted in favor of something more important, and that is rest. And I don't mean, getting enough sleep, although that's important for our physical health. And I don't mean a busy day off. It's a day off when you go racing through the mall to get everything because you want it. You've only got one day to be in Reno and you've got to hit all the stores, right? Or getting the yard work done, and or even a marathon day to see Disneyland in a day. And my children informed me that, Mom, we do not need to see everything today. I want to sit. So, right? So what I mean is, it's time to be without an agenda, just to be, right? Just to be. Our society admires people who are always busy and work hard. You've heard the adage, if you want something done, ask a busy person, right? They'll fit it in. They know how to do that, right? But how do we know what is the best thing to do? What's the best use of our time? How do we find that balance? Glorifying overwork and busyness and saying things like, I'll rest when I'm dead, is just a prescription to get on that treadmill that keeps us so busy, but we're on a path to nowhere, right? So why do we overwork or underachieve? That's the way some people do. It's a fear that we're not enough. Well, I've got to do more, or, I'll never be enough, so I just won't even try, and then I won't have to be a failure. Another reason is that we want to feel alive, right? In the book by Anne LeClaire, she wrote, Listening Below the Noise, a meditation on the practice of silence. And she said, we live in a culture that perpetuates the belief that when we have a lot to do going on and a lot of excitement, we're really alive. In truth, we are really alive when we are at peace within our own skin, right? When we know who we are. Leslie Goodwin is a CSL minister with New Vision CSL in Phoenix, Arizona, and she points out that we are too busy to heal damaged relationships, have difficult conversations, devote time and energy to the self-reflection that will move us forward in a real way. Why do we hide from rest? Because in rest, we can truly see ourselves. and we're not sure we're ready to deal with what's in there. It's kind of scary, right? So, what is the case for real rest? No. Rest is important for the physical body to rejuvenate. Helps us deal with stress. We can maintain healthy relationships and our own mental health. That's really important. And it's essential for the soul to connect with spirit within, right? I mean, to me, that's the most fundamental part of it. Thich Nhat Hanh says, it is very important that we relearn the art of resting and relaxing. Not only does it prevent the onset of many illnesses that develop through chronic tension and worrying, it also allows us to clear our minds, focus, and find creative solutions to problems. Right? If we're busy, always busy, we're just keep doing what we've always done or panicking or something like that. And if we get still, we can allow that divine intuition come into play and help move us forward. And I know Karen's very good at staying calm in the midst of the tech situation going on. So we're so blessed to have her heading up that team. But in the reading that Brenda shared with us this morning, by Wayne Mueller, he calls for going back to the practice of the Sabbath. You know, regular sustained periods of rest are called for in most of the religions of the world: Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Baha'is, and more. But Mueller clarified that he didn't mean this legalistic Sabbath, that they still have laws in 28 states in the U.S. When I was a kid growing up in Maryland, we had blue laws, and you couldn't buy anything on Sunday. You could go to a restaurant, but you couldn't buy, you went to the mall and you could window shop, but that was it, right? You can go to the mall now, but you cannot buy a car. And in fact, I think there's almost 28 states in the U.S. where you cannot buy a car on Sunday. A unique issue. But what Mueller is actually advocating for is taking the time to rest, to be still and share life with those that we love, right? He said, let us for just one day cease our desperate striving for more and instead taste the blessings we have already been given and give thanks. Gratitude is so important to feeling whole and healthy. Religious traditions agree on this. God does not want us to be exhausted. God wants us to be happy. And so let us remember the Sabbath. God wants us to be happy because we are a part of God, right? Now, let's turn and look at some of these physical reasons for rest. Herbert Benson, a doctor with the Benson Henry Institute for Mind-Body Medicine at the Massachusetts General Hospital, he created something called the relaxation response, which is a process he has of helping people really relax physically. And it invokes a state of deep rest. Now, in his numerous studies on the benefits of rest and practicing yoga, meditation, and his relaxation response, he's shown that it reduces stress by producing antioxidation and anti-inflammatory changes. It could lower heart rates, blood pressure, oxygen consumption. It alleviates hypertension, arthritis, insomnia, depression, infertility, cancer, and anxiety. All of these are improved by rest. And in fact, it can even affect 40,000 genes that in our body. There's actually genetic mutation in a positive way that occurs when we rest. Brene Brown, in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, said, if we want to live a wholehearted life, we have to become intentional about cultivating sleep and play, about letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity is self-worth. In her book, she tells a story about her and her husband. They sat down in 2008, and they wrote down a list of all the things that made their family work. And they were pretty simple things. It's like these are the things that give their lives joy and meaning. So it was sleeping enough, working out, eating healthy, cooking. She loves to cook. Time off, weekends away, going to church, being present with their kids, a sense of control over their money, right? More than the amount, it was the sense of control. Meaningful work that doesn't necessarily overly consume them. And finally, time with family and friends, and time to just hang out, right? A few years later, they wrote down their dream list. So these tended to be things that were about accomplishments and acquisitions that they wanted. They wanted a bigger house. They had a dream of a trip to this fantastic destination, and personal salary goals and personal achievements that they wanted to reach. And all of these things, though, required making and spending more money. And then they compared the two lists. And they found that if they wanted the things that they wanted to acquire were not necessary to experience that meaning and joy that they wanted in their lives. And contrarily, if they had enough time for rest and play, that was important to have joy and meaning. So they could give up all the acquisition and have what they really wanted. So they learned to pace themselves and not overcommit themselves with these other things. Brene Brown said, "It takes courage to say yes to rest and play in a culture where exhaustion is seen as a status symbol." And the person they had to explain it to over and over was their daughter. Because her first reaction was, "Oh, we're going to do less? Well, Mom, all my friends, they're like in 3 sports this quarter. And plus they're taking French and Mandarin. And no, okay, that will be good. But does this mean we have more time for TV? No. It meant we're going to have time for family and resting. All right? So we come to resting in the one. That important part of being in that stillness. There's nothing, this year our theme is living everyday wonder, and there's nothing more wonderful than resting in the one through spiritual practice, right? Ernest Holmes, in a book called Spiritual Practice, he says, "Spiritual experience comes in the stillness of the soul. When the outer voice is quiet, it is a quickening of the inner being to an external reality." We're aligning our inner self with the one. We're aligning our head and our heart with who we truly are. And as we let go of that siren's call to constant motion and overwork, we make room for time to be still. It may take time for our racing thoughts to come to a halt, as Colleen was explaining. We may have to learn to be patient with ourselves, right? And we have to resist the next urge to rush off and do that next important thing that fills our mind with a sense of urgency. But take a little more time to be still, a few more minutes longer. The spiritual benefits of resting and sticking with it are also profound. One of the greatest wonders of this life is that sweet sense of joy and peace that comes with real extended rest. One of the things I learned when I had kids and we would go on vacation, I remember one time we went to camping near the ocean in Marin County, and the first week we were rushing around and doing all these things and getting used to cooking and our menu and whatever. But the second week it was okay just to sit. It took a whole week. I think this is one of the things that my husband's nodding, because he knew this, raising 5 boys. That's why he always took these long vacations. He hasn't quite gotten me to adapt yet, but we're going to try it in June, so we'll see. But we have to remember, though, with that extended time, when we're comfortable being still, we remember who we are. We connect with that divine within us. And we remember that is the most precious thing in life, really, is that time of commune with Spirit. It's like we stop trying to force our bodies and our lives to do what our egos want, and we start listening to the divine within and aligning our attentions and our actions with that divine flow. It's like rowing downstream instead of upstream all the time, right? There's a great app that you can find on your telephone. It's called the Insight Timer. And there's both the free and the premium versions of it. And the options range from a simple timer that it has gongs and bells to help you track where you are in your time and not have to worry about watching the clock and so forth. And then it also has all these complicated things. It has 130,000 free guided meditations, and then you can have more classes and things like on deeper meditation if you want. But some of the topics in the free list are learning to meditate if you're brand new, falling asleep, big issue for a lot of people, right? Coping with anxiety or with stress, grieving. Grieving is an important one that when you go through. I know when I became a widow, it was just, there were days when I just couldn't do anything. And allowing that grieving process to go on is something we need to work through to come to the other side, to find that new person that we are. And that comes through that meditation. There can also be mindfulness at work, building self-esteem or happiness, right? It's all part of it. They have 14,000 professional contributors that are all on there. They're doctors, therapists, university professors, Buddhists, Hindu, New Thought practitioners, every kind. You can find something that matches you. Now, another option is you can come to our practitioner meditation before our service. Our practitioners do a wonderful job of setting the intention and giving us something to ponder as we go into the silence, or sometimes there's music. We also have CSL classes that will teach you how to be in that silence and how to spend that time. In April, we're starting a class on the art and science of spiritual mind treatment, or affirmative prayer. Great class. Now this summer, we're going to have the class Meditation is More Than You Think. So there's at least 8 different ways they have in that class about how to meditate. And they're very different. And chanting is very different than just breathing or observing a candle, different ways. And so you can try out all the different ways and find the ones that resonate for you, right? But what's important is that you take that time to rest and be in that stillness for that spiritual practice and allow that connection to spirit to grow. When we start exercising, we have to build our muscles. And so we need to build our spiritual muscles just the same way. It feels kind of clumsy at first, or when we haven't done it for a while. But when we practice, Spirit is always there waiting for us. With the stillness and spiritual practice, we can open that inner door and listen to that still, small voice of Spirit within us. In that stillness, we open ourselves to the mystical guidance of Spirit. In our Declaration of Principles for the Centers for Spiritual Living, Ernest Holmes said, "We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God." So you don't need to go to a psychic. You don't need to go to a priest. You have that direct connection with Spirit within you. And it's learning to listen, learning to feel comfortable, right? And this is why living in close contact with Spirit is so important. We listen to that intuition. It requires the silence and quietude. So rest, substantial periods of rest allow us time to listen and connect with our own mystical truth. In the book Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, Ernest Holmes said, "To enter the silence is to quiet our minds and enter that place of non-movement. To be still and know that I am God is to know the sanctuary of one's own consciousness." When we experience time in silence, we experience that palpable truth. It's not something that can be taught. You have to experience to know that we are all one. All is God. All is love. This knowing is beyond our understanding, but you know that you know that you know. It can only be discovered by spending time in stillness. That indwelling Spirit reveals the truth when we open the door. It's always there knocking. Right? We move to that infinite peace of just being, where time and space seem to stand still. There's perfect balance. All of life is one, including us. Peace and joy flow naturally. There's no pushing or pulling, just being. And it's here in that stillness that divine intuition is revealed. It appears as intuition. You know that you know that you know. And there's this deep yes to all that is good. that life is for us, not against us, but for us. It's here in the stillness that our body and our mind and spirit find rest and wholeness and alignment. Our soul is restored, and we are one with the universe. It empowers us to be a beneficial presence for all we meet. So take some time to rest now. So this week, schedule some time for rest, real rest, and hold it sacred. Nothing could be more important. Anyway, you are worth it. Ernest Holmes, our founder, believed in rest, and he spent lots of time in silence listening to the Spirit every day. And here's a poem that he included at the introduction to the Science of Mind textbook, and I'd like to share it with you to conclude. Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also. It sparkles in the light. I have set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink the wine. All is yours, and you are welcome. So let's take this to prayer. So we are still here, letting go, breathing in and out, moving into that place of rest, of stillness. Let go of the sounds and motions around you. Bless them and turn within. Let go of the thoughts whirling around. Wherever they might go, release them, bless them, and turn within, deeper. There is only the breath. And as the emotions are there, of anger or fear, sadness, even happiness, bless them. Be grateful for the signs that they bring us to of what is going on. But bless them and turn within even deeper to that place where the whole inner world opens up. And here there is wholeness. There is a sense of the presence of God within in our heart of hearts. We are part of the whole universe, one with all that is, with all people, with all things. There is no separation. There is balance. There is infinite peace. This is the level of being one with Spirit. It is the level of bliss. It cannot be contained. It is always here in our heart of hearts. But when we're still, we see it and feel it and know it and experience it and know that all is well. Infinite love is without end. It is deep and wide, surrounding us, enfolding us, welling up within us, flowing out into the world. And there has been an inner shift, an evolution in our understanding of who we are, of the meaning of spirit, of being one. I am so grateful to know the truth of who we are, to know the consciousness of peace and love, the oneness that is within the heart of each and every person who is here, who is a part of our center. Each person who is involved with the Ukrainian invasion, regardless of whatever their role is. There is no place where God is not. The divine infinite peace is within each one, guiding each person, including ourselves, to know what is ours to do to manifest a lasting and loving peace built on loving and respecting each man, woman, and child. All resistance to this truth, to this one life, is dissolved as we let go and let God, the infinite invisible, rise up within each person, within ourselves. And so we let go. And that fear just dissolves. And there is this calm reassurance that in time immemorial, there is only love. There is only this divine life. And we know deep abiding peace and love as the light that illuminates the entire universe, healing, guiding, expressing life and goodness. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you. And so the time has come to begin moving back towards the surface. Reluctant to relieve, but we sense that shift in spiritual growth and awareness is permanent. There is now space within our spirit. There is clarity within our understanding. There is wholeheartedness within our body, mind, and spirit. And it is all good. And so consciousness slowly moves back into your body, into the emotions of the goodness and love, into the thoughts, into knowing the wholeness, that blueprint of who we are, and coming back into the physical body. Feel that chair supporting you. Feel the air moving as you breathe in and out. Hear the sounds and feel the movement of the room. Feel that they've been blessed somehow. Feel the presence of the living beings around you here and everywhere on this planet. Feel at peace. Feel well. Know that you are loving and loved, for you are an expression of infinite love. I am so grateful to be here, to be alive, to be a loving presence in the world. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you. It is done. And so it is. A lot of us have been thinking about Ukraine this week, and as we spend time in the stillness, resting in the truth that we are all one, we experience divine peace as the nature of people everywhere, and including in Ukraine and Russia. And so several of our people are participating in an online event called Songs for Peace. It's next Saturday, March 26th from 4 to 6. And Colleen, would you like to, before you introduce your next song, would you like to share a little bit about the event and then your video?
Sure. Thank you, Reverend Pam. Yes, Songs of Peace is hosted by the company I work for. It's a record company in New York City called So Am I Worthy, that is focused on helping female minority singer-songwriters to come more successfully into the music industry. And working with a colleague in pulling this together, the Eventbrite link is on the flyer, and invite you to click on that to register. There's no charge, and you can be present with us in this event. Would appreciate your prayerful presence. It is going to be live streamed as it is on Zoom from New York. We have some wonderful performers, a diverse collection of performers that have all come together to unite our intentions for peace and to offer a vehicle for people to offer donations directly through two nonprofits who have feet on the ground in the Ukraine to help those who are displaced and suffering. So if you have any more questions about Songs of Peace, please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to talk with you about that. And so glad to have Reverend Pam close the event with affirmative prayer. And I'm sure we're going to be creating, we already are, some wonderful ripples. You know, as I think about what's going on in the Ukraine, and this is kind of segueing into this Peace Arise video that you'll be seeing, there's a lot of space for grace, and how we show up to events like this and even into that stillness. It's so important right now in our world because we have a lot of suffering going on. We're affected by it. It affects us. And we're reminded that we can also help in ways that we may not totally understand with our brains, but we know when we know that when we show up, that our prayers are heard and are felt, and they're making a difference. This song, Peace Arise, I wrote it with a friend, a poet, Mary Fletcher. It came on the heels of a horrifyingly violent incident. And war, as we know, is a collection of those horrifyingly violent incidents. And it's a start. You know, we don't know what to do when something like that happens. We're stunned, we're shocked, and yet we show up with spirit as we are. And that's how this song came about. It starts out kind of in despair, but as it unfolds, there's a presence that comes underneath the song that finally emerges, and it's a chant. And I invite you to sing along with it. It's just simply Peace Arise. We're expressing our hope and we're expressing our declaration at the same time. It's very powerful. And thank you very much for letting me share this.
Peace won't rest. Fear runs the street. A witness hears the shouts and yet pretends to sleep. Our innocence is taken, will not be released. Peace arise. If they take lives for lives, vengeance still survives. Heart sanctuary chamber violated with knives. Carve the stone, rest in peace. But peace won't rest, it will arise. When the innocent fall, so do we all, so do we all. Fear buried truth with lies, apathy closed our eyes. If silence is captivity, speaking now sets us free. Words can change the world, we say, lead the way to peace one day. Peace one day. change. A rebirth from the earth. Speak for those with no voice. Act for those with no choice. We won't be forced down. Peace arises from the ground. Peace arise. You would never fight for no reason, would you kill? Shut down for speaking peace. You are not silent still. Asking why from the funeral pyre, rise beyond the guns, cease the fire, cease the fire, peace arise, peace arise, peace arise, peace arise, peace arise. Peace won't rest, peace won't wait. We cannot hesitate if silence is captivity. Speak now, set us free. Words can change the world, we say. Lead the way to peace one day. We cannot hesitate. Peace won't wait. Peace arise. Peace arise. Peace arise. Peace arise. Peace arise. Peace won't rest, peace won't wait. We cannot hesitate if silence is captivity. Speak now, set us free. Words can change the world, we say. Lead the way to peace one day. We cannot hesitate. Peace won't wait. Peace arise. 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 Peace arise.
Well, there we go. Now I'm on. Okay, so we're running a little late, so we're going to try and speed things up a little bit. But it's our prosperity time, and we know that your donations to our center are your opportunity to be part of carrying out our vision of embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. So we can keep doing this. We want to support spiritual transformation in the world by sharing spiritual science of mind, spiritual mind principles, and experiences of love and wholeness. And we're most grateful for your donations and your continuing commitment to our center. We have our prosperity affirmation that you would hold your offering over your heart and repeat with me. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. All I share with life returns to me blessed and multiplied. And so it is.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I
Prospering the whole world as that loving circulation of life spreads and prospers all. Life is good. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. And so it is. Thank you. All right. So I want to thank everyone that's been part of this Sunday. I want to thank our AV team. And, I think they're getting the hang of it. Each week we're going to be better, so this will be good. Practice makes perfect. I want to thank everyone that brought something from our potluck today. And there's some good things that are out there on the table, I think. And I also want to thank everyone that's going to be coming back in half an hour for our board meeting, our annual meeting, rather. And so there's some great things happening in our center. You get to hear all about it. But we have our announcements. And Brenda, would it be easier if I do them? Okay, I'm going to do them, and I'm going to go a little bit fast. So, okay. All right, so we have our slides. We have our social media is really going. Savannah's getting it posted everywhere, and you can find us everywhere you can think of, at least, except for Twitter yet. Okay, and also we've got our video recordings are up on Mondays. We've got 2 years, so you can go back and listen to everything on our new website and our YouTube channel. Next Sunday, March 27th, I'll be talking about So Happy Together, concluding the Spirit at Play. And Rod Loomis is our musician, and practitioner Nancy O'Neill from Arizona. Besides that, the Songs for Peace next Saturday, there are 3 more things going on. So there on Friday at noon, Reverend Barbara Leger, who was in Ukraine for more than a decade, she has her weekly Golden Path of Peace. We have the Season for Nonviolence, which goes through April 3rd, and they're talking about 70 locations around the planet where there is violence going on, not just Ukraine. And that is at 6 a.m. in the morning, but it is recorded, so you can listen to it later in the day. And then finally, coming from Europe, there is the Spiritual Chain Reaction from Peace, which is led by Reverend Beth Natalie Liguri, who is the CSL minister at CSL Geneva in Switzerland. And that is at now 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, because they are not on daylight savings time. All right. Our next certified class starts April 19th, Art and Science of Spiritual Mind Treatment. You can find information elsewhere. We have our weekly ongoing classes every week. We're so blessed to have our teachers that continue teaching these great classes. We've got Tai Chi on Thursdays with Cris Worcester. We've got the meditation at 4:30 on Thursdays and meditation at 5 with Mary McEnany and Penny, and A Course of Love on Fridays. They're still working their way through that book, 6:30, and these are all drop-in. So you can find the links on there. We have coming up on April 16th is our Easter egg hunt for our children. And so 1:30 to 3:30, please sign up your children, your grandchildren, if you know someone's going to come, so we know how many kids are going to be here. So we have the right amount of eggs and activities for the kids. They're going to have a great time. Everyone that was here the last couple of years knew that it was really a lot of fun. And so now we have our children's affirmation, and we bless those children wherever they are, knowing that they are finding their way to our center. We see you, we hear you, we love you. You are a gift from God, and so it is. And we welcome you, all of you that are here at our center. Please avail yourself. If you need treatment, please ask one of our practitioners online or here in the center. But we'll have our closing affirmation, and then we're going to have the peace song. So if you would repeat with me, I rest in divine joy.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begin with me. Let this be the moments now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth,